It's second week in February here in Atlanta, and we've just gone through Snowmageddon too. Been a lot different experience this time, but we've been stuck in the house with ice and snow for a couple of days, and it's given me a chance to kind of think about time and as we were talking about last time, and think about that and how looking at the past really affects or forms us and shapes us and does so many things within us, but it teaches us and gives us a lot of opportunities to explore about who we are, who our organizations are, what our culture is like, and what we can or will become. The first thing is when we look at the past, whether it's individually or corporately or culturally, when we look at the past, one of the things that the past does for us is it is a teacher. It teaches us lessons that, if learned and applied, can change and change our lives, change our culture, change our organizations for the better, and sometimes for the worse. I think of the snow this week as compared to 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, people were stuck on the interstate for 20 hours. Kids were spending the night in schools overnight. It was a mess. That's about all the word for it. It was a horrid mess. And the organizations that should have been prepared weren't. In fact, they chose not to listen to the warnings and that were issued days ahead, and even the morning of all the snow and that created this traffic jam on all the interstates and caused kids to spend the night in school and all the wrecks and things like that. And but this time it was so much different. People were staying home. The government entities were ready. Schools closed. They didn't open. Everybody was played it safe. They were on the safe side in all this. A state of emergency was issued. Everything was heated. The trucks, snow trucks and things were out. They were spraying brine on the roads to keep ice from collecting on the roads as much as possible. They had snowplows ready. They'd traveled to South Carolina to get extra sand and salt, and so everything was much more coordinated. Everything was they were much more prepared in all of this, and by doing so, we didn't have the congestion. We didn't have the bottlenecks, the breakdowns, just the mess that we had just 2 weeks ago. And so that's an example of time being a teacher. Time, the past being a teacher. This is what was done in the past. These are mistakes that were made. This is what we can learn from it, and this is how we can do things differently in the future. And every person needs to do that. Every corporation needs to do that. Every culture needs to do that. We need to do it on a regular basis. We need to constantly consider what was and learn the lessons of what was. Because in looking back, we actually also are able to look forward, because not only is time a teacher, time is a projector. One of the things that I did for about 7 years was do assessments for entrepreneurs in a nonprofit scenario, and our assessment process, part of the major part of the assessment process was an interview process, and it took almost all day. It literally took all day, from about 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night. And part of that interview, or most of that interview, had nothing to do with what a person thought. It had nothing to do with what a person wanted to do. It had everything to do with what the person had done. It was a behavioral interview. It was, give me a time when you did. Give me a time when you started something. Give me a time when you failed. Tell me how you interacted with people who disagreed with you. Tell me how you... when we asked for names, we asked for situations, we asked for dates, and it was a chance for people to look back on their lives and see what they had done, because what we know about, at least about human behavior, is past behavior is an indicator of future behavior. What we did in the past is what we're going to do in the future, barring some major shift or barring some major change. And so in that whole process, we would ask them to look back on their own lives and see if they were ready to do what they were about to do, to start something new, to raise their own money, to do those kinds of things, to gather people around them and build an organization. And then we would also look at that and assess whether they actually were ready, whether they had the behavior set, not so much the skill set, because that could be developed, but the behavior set to be able to do those things that demonstrated that they were entrepreneurs, that they did start things, that they could gather people, that they could raise money, those kinds of things. They had a healthy relationship with their family and were able to balance that kind of stuff. And so we evaluated all of that, and because we knew that what they did in the past, what they were doing in the past, would be similar to what they would do in the future. And we didn't want to waste time, resources on someone whose past behavior did not predict growth, or did not predict the kinds of behaviors that we needed in that nonprofit scenario to be able to succeed and flourish. And so when you think about time, when you think about the past, one of the things you need to consider is the past, because the past will help you understand what you're going to do in the future. It's not what you think you're going to do. It's not what you want to do. It's what you're going to do. It's what your employees are going to do. It's what your suppliers are going to do. It's what your customers are going to do. Barring a major shift, barring a major technological innovation, barring a major natural disaster, barring a major financial meltdown, these are the kinds of behaviors, these are the kinds of things that will be done in the future, because they have been done in the past. And people rarely change. And organizations find it very difficult to change. They produce a mantra, they redo mission statements, they do all of that, but if behavior doesn't change within the organization, then the organization itself is not going to change. And so looking at the past provides us that window of what things will be, barring a major shift or barring a major change. And so that's why looking at the past is so important. So it's a teacher, it's a projector, and it's also a reminder. It's a reminder of who we are, because the past has formed and shaped us, whether it's a business or a person or a culture. The past has formed and shaped us. We are who we are because of our past. That doesn't mean that our future can't be something different, or that our present is not in the process of being something different, but that we are who we are because of the experiences that we've had, because of the innovations that our corporation has had, because of the leadership that's been in our lives or in our organizations or in our culture. We are who we are because of the past. It has shaped and formed our identity. It doesn't have to be who we can be, but it is who we are. And so that's another reason to look at the past. But it is a teacher, it is a projector, and it is a reminder. And sometimes we see the past and we don't like who we are, we don't like our past. And that presents an opportunity for us to change. An opportunity for us to do things differently, to shift mentality. And we'll talk about that in a later episode. But for now, take some time. Go back through your life, go back through your organization, go back through the culture and the community, not just in the U.S., but locally, where you live, and explore the past. Be history majors. Because the history that you uncover will shed light on who you will become. And it will also shed light onto the opportunities that exist, and it will also shed light on what you will do in the future, barring any shift or change. So take some time to do, and do it often. Do it on a regular basis. Go back and look. Do it once a quarter. Just go back and look at one particular era of your life, one particular era of your organization, one particular era of your community's culture, and explore that. And see what you can learn from that. See what behaviors happened during that period of time, and how that has affected you up until today, and how it formed you, and formed your organization, and formed your identity, and formed your culture, and formed your community. Because that's where you live, and that's where you are, and that's where you operate.